हेमशैलाभदेहं धनुजवनकृशानुं ज्ञानिनामग्रगण्यं सकलगुणनिधानं वानराणामधीशं रघुपतिप्रियभक्तं वातजातं नमामि। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शरणं प्रपद्ये। श्रीरामदूतं शरणं प्रपद्ये। So we have done page of line number 31. अष्टसिद्धि नवनिधि के दाता असवर दीन जानकी माता. Ashtasiddhi is of two meanings. One is this Anima, Mahima, Garima, Laghima, Prapti, Prakashya, Ishitvam and Vashitvam. Second meaning is Buddhi, Balam, Yasho, Dhairyam, Nirmayatvam, Arogata, Ajadyam and Vakpatu. These are 8 things that one gets by remembering Hanuman. Third beautiful meaning of this is that if we have to achieve anything great, especially any selfless work has to be done, we must have the capacity to become small when it is required, to become humble, to become big, to stand up for one's convictions and principles and not to compromise. So those are the powers, those are the 8 powers which are given there. They are the capacity of the individual to reduce one's ego, to sublimate, to surrender, to stand up, to have tremendous willpower. Then we saw Navnidhi. The 9 nidhis. One is the nidhis of Kuber. So all those precious stones and gems. Another meaning of Navnidhi. So the one is the external nidhi in terms of wealth. But the real nidhi or treasure or wealth is the wealth of bhakti. So in Bhakti Shastra we have what we call as Navadha Bhakti. 9 forms of devotion. And these 9 forms of devotion are a true wealth of a person. So there is a very nice shloka which comes enumerating these 9. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho. Listening to the glories of the Lord is the first form. Shravanam. Kirtanam is to sing his glories. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. Smaranam, to constantly remember the name of the Lord, Leelas of the Lord, form of the Lord. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. Smaranam. Pada Sevanam, to serve the feet of the Lord. So to serve the people around us. One can be to serve through the puja, but other meaning is to serve the people, the beings around us. Is another form of devotion. Then Archana, to chant his names. Shravanam, listening. Kirtanam, singing his glory. Smaranam, remembrance. Pada Sevanam, worshipping the feet. Archana is to do the Archana using his 108 names or 1000 names. Sahasranam, Vishnu Sahasranam, Shiva Sahasranam, etc. Then Vandana is to sing the praise of the Lord through the stotrams and the stutis. Dasyam, to be a servant of the Lord, to accept whatever comes as His prasad and to do His will. Dasyam. Sakhyam, to be a friend of the Lord, like Sudama. So to have the bhav of a friend, or Vali, not Vali, sorry, Sugri. So Sakhyam, like the Lord is my friend. Sakhyam, and last is Atma Nivedanam, is complete surrender. So these are 9 forms of devotion, which are actually 9 attitudes towards the Lord. And when one has these 9, even one of these 9 attitudes, it helps the person to grow deep in one's devotion. And that is the true wealth. Yesterday we saw in spiritual life actually bhakti is the core. Bhakti is there, mind will automatically abide in the knowledge. It will become peaceful. It will enjoy the spiritual practices. Our difficulty is when bhakti is not there. And the reason why bhakti doesn't deepen sometimes in us is because we don't consider God as some living, conscious entity with whom we can build a relationship. We consider Him only as some power. Or we sometimes don't know that there is Lord and what is the nature of Bhagavan. That is not understood. And that is why that bhakti doesn't come. So even if I am trying to concentrate, I am using a mantra, I am just using it as a means to focus. I am not using it as an expression of my love for the Lord. So if I have to do a mala of 108 names, it may be a means to, okay, I have to finish 108 names, one mala a day. But if there is bhakti, even while doing that 108 names, 108 times the mantra japa, 15-20 mantras by the time we do, the mind becomes absorbed. One doesn't even have to struggle to finish 108 after that. Hence that bhakti is a very, very important aspect in spiritual life. Without bhakti, knowledge is dry, it cannot apply in life. So all these books like Hanuman Chalisa, etc. If you know the life of Tulsidas ji before he became Tulsidas, he was a great logician, very dry in his thinking and knowledge, but he was a pakka scholar, very reputed for the knowledge of the scriptures, arguments, winning over debates, all that. But his real transformation happened only when bhakti came into his life. And then this whole Hanuman Chalisa and Tulsi Ramayana and all that started. So bhakti is very crucial. So when we ask the Lord, we ask for that bhakti. Hence, after giving this Ashta Siddhi and Navnidhi, Sita ji blesses Hanuman ji saying, Ram Rasayan Tumare Pasa Sada Raho Raghupati Ke Dasa. May you ever remain the servant of the Lord. See, now in our culture, we always have at every stage of life some altar or the other where we surrender our ego. At every stage of life, there should be somebody higher than us whom we look up to, or who is able to advise us to be on the right path, or to whom we are able to surrender. So when one is a child, the parents are the one to whom one surrenders. Grahasthi, when one becomes, of course, if one has a guru, then nothing like it. As a child, one serves the parent. Then, when one comes to the Gurukul, it becomes the guru. Then, when one comes to the household, it is a family and the society to serve whom one surrenders and dedicates oneself. And ultimately, when one becomes a sannyasi, it is only the Lord and nothing else. So, at every stage, there should be somebody or the other to whom one surrenders. In that, there is freedom from the ego, in that, there is freedom from bias, from prejudice, from attachment. So, here is a blessing that Sitaji has given Sada Raho Raghupati Ke Dasa. If all the time the mind has this bhavana that I am only an instrument, I am only the equipment, let me be a fit equipment in the hands of the Lord. He is the master. Acceptance of life becomes very easy. And spiritual unfoldment happens very fast. So, Sada Raho Raghupati Ke Dasa. Not only the time when I am doing some spiritual practice, at all times. Sada Raho Raghupati Ke Dasa. Then he says, Tumare bhajan Ram ko pave. What a strange thing. Whoever sings your glory will attain Ram. Meaning, Ram ko pave. Meaning, will attain that state of happiness. Ram literally means supreme happiness. One who revels in the hearts of all beings. Sarveshu Hridhi Ramante iti Ramaha. Including all the bhogis also. Including all the jivas, creatures, not only human beings. All the people, all the beings. So the Lord or that supreme happiness that revels in the hearts of everyone is Ram. So singing the glory of Hanuman, one attains that supreme happiness. For the devotee, it also means that Hanumanji's heart has Bhagwan Ram. So whoever sings the glory of Hanumanji will attain the darshan of Ramji also. Tumre bhajan Ram ko pave. There's another reading of this chaupai. It says, Tumre bhajan Ram ko bhave. Meaning that those who sing the glory of Hanumanji, they are very dear to Ramji. Ram ko bhave. And the grace of Ramji happens for them. So we generally say, the father is supposed to be very, very strict. The grandfather is full of love. So when we serve the devotee and we become the devotee of the devotee, then Bhagavan becomes our grandfather. And so his love spontaneously flows on us. So tumre bhajan Ram ko pave, janam janam ke dukh bisrave. And what happens? When you attain the state of Ram, sorrows of many, many lives get over. Meaning that sense of incompleteness that remains, because of which we feel empty, we feel miserable, we feel I need something else to be happy. That emptiness goes away. And that emptiness has been with us life after life after life. Janam janam ke dukh bisra. Having attained that state, one becomes fulfilled. There is nothing more to be gained for that person. And how does one attain that? Simple, just through bhajan, through singing the glory of the Lord. No complicated methods, no great amount of austerity and tapas and fasting, and none of that. Just simple devotion in the heart. Sing the glory of the Lord. He says, Janam janam ke dukh bisra. So one meaning of dukh. See, literally kha means space. Kha in Sanskrit, kha means space. So sukha means good space. And dukkha means bad space. So when our heart gets polluted, we feel dukkha. And what pollutes our heart? Selfishness, six impurities, attachment. These pollute our heart. And life after life, this continues in us. So when we sing the glory of Hanumanji, it is not only singing his name, his bhajans, his stuti, etc. But also, bhajan literally also means to imbibe those qualities of surrender, of service. So whoever lives these qualities will definitely attain that state of supreme happiness. Because if selfishness and sorrow are directly proportional, selflessness and happiness are also directly proportional. And how much selfless I am, that much happy I am. How much content I am, that much happy I am. So तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावे जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे. Think about it. What is it that makes us take birth again and again and again? Is some desire fulfillment. And more desires are there, more and more births, and every birth creating more and more seeds of desire. So this cycle goes on. And this cycle of karma appears to be a vicious cycle. So how to break that? Desire leads to thought, thought leads to action, action leads to result, result being temporary again creates desire. So this karma chakra, this is called karma bandhan. One is stuck in this karma bandhan. How to get out of that karma bandhan? The only way to get out of that is this. Let the ego surrender. In happiness, in deep sleep, we feel so much of happiness. Why? Because ego is not there. So our nature is happiness, Ram is in our own heart, but we still don't experience that. Only because the ego is Ravan has not been killed. Long back there was a movie, Swadesh, which had come. Swadesh. So in that movie there is one nice song. You know that song? Pal pal hai bhari jo, something like that. Vipada hai aayi or something like that. In that there is one nice line which says that मन से रावण जो निकाले राम तेरे मन में. If you kill Ravan in your heart, then Ram is there only. In everybody's heart there is one Ravan, that is the ego. And that Ravan has to be killed. So singing the glory of Hanumanji, Janam Janam ke dukh bisarave, the ego surrenders, selfishness goes. That person experiences supreme happiness. So Hanumanji plays the role of that guru also. In Guru Stotram we say Aneka Janma Samprapta Karma Bandha Vidahine. One who helps us to drop and destroy the karmas of many lives. How? Atma Jnana Pradhanena, by giving me the self-knowledge. The path of self-knowledge is very tough. But bhakti is still easier. So here when we say that how to get out of that karma bandhan, let bhakti be there in our heart and such devotees go over this karma cycle. Because they find fulfillment in the devotion itself. New desires don't arise in their heart. One of the signs that I am a devotee is singing the name of the Lord makes me happy. I don't have to build schemes for happiness. A desire is actually a scheme for happiness. Gurudev used to define a desire is a scheme for happiness, that I don't feel happy fully right now. So when I fulfill that desire, then I will become more happy. So that desire is a scheme for happiness. A devotee is one who feels here and now, just singing the name of the Lord, the mind becomes so quiet. Because Bhagavan is the source of all happiness. Again and again we have to remind that. Whatever we are seeking outside from the world, whether it is knowledge, power, happiness, peace, fame, glory, anything that we seek, He is the abode of all that. So one who understands that very clearly will just do bhajan.
If one is a Jnana Yogi, then what? Finally, it has to culminate into Bhakti Yoga only.
Actually, they are not different things because a Jnana Yogi cannot be a Jnana Yogi without bhakti towards his Guru. It is impossible to have knowledge without bhakti. Yesterday we said, no, in Bhagavad, the whole scripture begins by saying that bhakti is the mother for Jnana and Vairagya. Shankaracharya ji himself, such a great intellectual master, in Vivek Chudamani he says, Moksha Karana Samagryam Bhakti Reva Gariyasi. Of all the qualifications required for moksha, bhakti is the supreme. And if you see his compositions, he wrote he wrote commentaries on Gita, Brahma Sutra, Upanishads, where he speaks of absolute non-dual self. And yet, the compositions on bhakti that he has written, they are much, much more than his commentaries on non-dual self. So, they both actually go together. But to do just, to listen about absolute truth, which is nameless, formless, attributeless, beyond time, space, object, how much can our mind revel in that? And for how long? Very tough. To hold on to Brahman is absolutely difficult. We are not able to hold on as a jiva, we are not able to hold on to Ishvara, that is God, who manifests, who has a name, form, qualities, leela, so many things. We are not able to hold on to that only. What to talk about that Brahman? So bhakti is a very essential aspect. Even if a person is not following bhakti marg or gyan marg, he is a person who is doing service, karma yogi. Even for karma yogi, bhakti is very essential. If he is not devoted to his ideal or her ideal, it is not possible for that person to attain that. If I love my country, and if I have the bhavana, the nation above self, that is called Desh Bhakti. People may say Desh Prem, that is no problem. But Desh Bhakti is very important. At the end of today's session, we will see a small clip on devotion and love. What is the difference? Very humorous clip Gurudev has presented it. So love always is the key for surrender. I may surrender to an ideal, or I may surrender to my country, or I may surrender to God, or I may surrender to the Supreme Brahman. Love is the key. Hence, that's why Tulsidas ji is written here that Hanumanji was not very happy when he was blessed that you will become capable of giving Ashtasiddhi and Navnidhi to others. He became happy only when the blessing of bhakti was given to him, saying, Sada Raho Raghupati ke Dasa. So every day, you see, it may be effort in the beginning, but consciously it has to be put. That every day I can spend at least 10 minutes connecting to the Lord. Somebody gives me food when I am hungry, somebody gives me some water when I am thirsty, somebody gives me money when I need it. I feel so thankful. But the Lord who has blessed me with life, who has blessed me with so many things, what do I do to express my gratitude? How do I even connect to that Lord? 10 minutes. I can sit quietly, think about the Lord. Communion with that divine Lord is called as prayer. I may or may not know shlokas or mantras, it doesn't matter. But I have bhavana, I have feeling. That I feel thankful to the Lord, I feel that there is a Lord and I love that Lord. Expression of that love is enough. And at that moment you see what the heart feels. When there is love in that heart for the Lord, you just observe the bhavana and the mind. Is there a desire to enjoy anything? When the heart is filled with thankfulness and gratitude, there is no desire. One is so fulfilled, one is so happy. I don't know whether you did that exercise or not. I had said 108 blessings. What you really feel grateful for. If you actually sit and write, there are so many things to be grateful for. And we have forgotten them. So here he says, तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावे जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे अंतकाल रघुवरपुर जाई जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई. Such a person, when the person's body drops, see, when a body drops, anybody's body drops, according to their karma, they go through different realms of experience. So there are 7 higher worlds, 7 lower worlds, which are realms of consciousness. One goes through them according to their desire. Gurudev is to explain the word loka as a field of experience. So you would say the world of doctors. So the world of doctors means all the doctors have come together and they are thinking. So that combined effort and that experience that they go through, that is called as the loka. So in the same way, people who have similar types of karmas, desires, they come together to experience a certain realm. So different people go through different realms according to their desire. What happens to the devotee? Bhagavan says here, the devotee who has remembered me through the life will come to me. Tumhare bhajan Ram ko paave, and he says, Antakal Raghuvarpur jai. So traditionally the depiction is that person will go to Saket Loka. Saket Loka is where Bhagavan Ram is supposed to be living. Like Vaikuntha is where Vishnu Bhagavan is, Kailash is where Shivji is. So it's an abode. So it is depicted, pictographically it is depicted. So for a small child or for a devotee, it is just a means to communicate. The idea is it's a state of awareness, that what state of awareness or consciousness or happiness that you and I seek, person will experience that. So one is actually at the dropping of the body, because the person doesn't have anywhere to no desires, the person attains fulfillment. Raghuvarpur is the state of fulfillment. Antakal can mean the dropping of the body. Antakal can also mean dropping of the ego. So when the ego dies, then definitely the person experiences supreme happiness. So Antakal Raghuvarpur jai, jahan janma hari bhakta kahai. And that devotee is born, even if the devotee is born in the world, again, not because of he or she has some desires to enjoy, but by the will of the Lord, let us say the devotee is born again in the world. That devotee is called Hari Bhakta Kahai. People like Mirabai and all these great saints, Tukaram, so many saints who have come into this world. Just imagine what would be the condition if the saints are not there across the world, not only in India. We would not know. Saints are the proof of the existence of the Lord, who have experienced that oneness with the Lord, and in whose satsang we can experience that bhakti, peace, happiness. And to be born as a Hari Bhakta in the world is most difficult. People may think, Hare Bhakta, what a life is so easy. Huh? One of the toughest lives is the life of a devotee. Because the people don't believe that Bhagavan exists. Even if they believe that Bhagavan exists, you tell them that why don't you surrender to that Lord? He says, no, that is not for me. I can pray to him now and then, fulfill the desire, but surrender and all is not for me. Conviction is not there. And more often than not, the devotees have been criticized, condemned, tortured, so many things people do. So to be born as a Hari Bhakta is not very easy. But for the devotee, see here the beauty is that devotee is such a person. In Vedanta we say that there are four Purushartha: Artha, Kama, Dharma and Moksha. Majority want moksha. But the devotee, majority in the sense the seekers, they want moksha. Devotee is one level still ahead. Why? The devotee says, I don't want moksha also. I only want bhakti and you bless me that I don't forget you. That's enough for me. Your remembrance I have, that is enough. So we say bhakti is the pancham purushartha. It is the fifth purushartha, beyond moksha also. Why? Because such a devotee does not say that I will attain moksha and I will liberate myself. That devotee says, oh Lord, if I remember you, that is enough. You make me, you send me to the world again, I have no problem. I will sing your glory, I will spread your glory, I will keep on sharing that devotion with people. And I may be born as anything, not only as a human being, I can be born as any creature. Just your blessing is enough that I must be a Hari Bhakta. I must remember you all the time. Bas. This is one aspect of a devotee, which is why we said yesterday that Vimal Bhakti and Ananya Bhakti is the rarest of blessing. Nobody gets that easily. A lot of grace of the Lord is required. Vimal Bhakti and Ananya Bhakti. And the devotee is always eager to serve the Lord. So even if the devotee is born again, there is no problem. That devotee doesn't say that I don't want to be born again in the cycle of birth and death. Please remember, cycle of birth and death is not a pain, it's not a problem. The problem is forgetfulness of our own true nature. That is the problem. Issue is not birth and death. Why that birth and death is happening? That is happening because of desire. Why the desire is it? Because I don't know who I am. So I feel incomplete. So I'm having a desire to become complete. Then I'm coming back into this world. So the issue is not birth and death. Issue is not knowing who I am. I come into the world as an incomplete being. I suffer. But when a devotee is fulfilled and the devotee knows that happiness is only in the name of the Lord, in remembrance of the Lord, it is not there outside. And the devotee lives that life of surrender. That devotee has no problem even if one has to be born again. As long as we remember who we are, in the sense of knowledge we say, if I know I am Sachidananda, there is no problem. Then I see all this as my own manifestation. Why only one birth? All this is me only. Same thing, in the language of devotion we say that a devotee sees all this as an expression of the Lord only, including oneself, saying that the Lord is in my own heart, I am one with Him at all times. Such a devotee to be born again will not have an issue. One of the greatest devotees of Sri Krishna is a person called Ras Khan. You should read his compositions. Ras Khan. He writes in one of his compositions that, oh Lord, I don't mind even being born as a stone on the banks of Yamuna, or as a tree in Vrindavan, or as a cow, or even as a what they call the creatures in that sea, not in the sea, in that Yamuna. I don't mind being born as anything. Only condition I have is I should always remember you. I should not for a single moment forget you. That's all. Just imagine, yesterday we were talking about integration and all that. How to practice integration? We said love must be there to practice integration. So what is it that I love so much that all the time my mind is occupied with that. If it is some sense object, some person, that will very soon lead to an attachment. But if it is an ideal, if it is the Lord, if it is something higher than me, constant remembrance of that is the way to live an integrated life, is the way to live a life of self-control. And that is what the devotee seeks. For the devotee, it is the Lord. So he says, Antakal Raghuvar Purjai Jaha Janma Hari Bhakta Kahai. Some people say that the devotee is born in the world of Saket Loka or Goloka or Vaikuntha. And what do you do there? You are in the presence of the Lord. And you be happy. Many people find this very strange. What to do after that? To just be in the presence, bas. But you ask the people who love, they are very happy. And is it not true? Suppose you love your son very much. What do you want? You just want the son to be with you. Or you want to be with the son. That's all. What else you need? You are there, that's enough. Same thing for the devotee. They are very happy in the presence of the Lord. One doesn't need to do anything. Anything one may do is spontaneous, out of love one will do, but one doesn't need to do something. Love is that state which puts an end to doing, actually speaking. Otherwise you constantly are restless to do something. That is called Bhavarog. Ram Rasayan is to cure that. When I come into the state of love, I am in a state of fulfillment. Then action is born out of fulfillment. Out of love I can do something. Not out of incompleteness, not out of restlessness. So Hanumanji did so many great achievements because of fulfillment, not because of incompleteness. It is not that he wanted to prove himself great, so he brought one whole mountain or he crossed the ocean. Nothing. His heart is filled with love, so then great work happens. This is the secret of success and fulfillment. That if I want to do great work, fill your heart with love. That's all. Empty heart is insecure. And that empty heart cannot enjoy what it has achieved. And its achievements will be limited. But the heart which is full, which is contented, which is blissful, which is happy, so many things it can achieve. And more greater things one will achieve actually. So, tumare bhajan Ram ko paave, janam janam ke dukh bisrave, antakal raghuvar pur jai, jahan janma hari bhakta kahai. और देवता चित्त न धरई, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई. You know the story in childhood when Hanumanji was struck by the Vajra of Indra, then Pavan Devata stopped blowing. And he said, until the Devatas don't bless him, I will not do my work. And so every Devata blessed Hanumanji. So people generally worship the Devatas to get some powers, to get some desire fulfillment. But those who worship Hanumanji don't have to worship any other deity. So people worship Indra for rain, they worship Dhanvantari for health, they worship, let us say, Kuber for wealth. Different devatas they worship for different things. But here he says Hanumanji has been blessed by all the devatas. You worship Hanumanji, you don't have to worship anybody else. Everything else comes to you. Aura devata chittanadhare. This is about Hanumanji. But specifically the concept what is there behind it is very important. There is a difference between Bhagwan and Devata. We should know that clearly. I don't remember whether I covered in this class in Hanuman Chalisa. Did I cover? 33 crore Devatas are there. Maybe, yeah. So this concept of Ishvara is one and the concept of Devata is very different. Ishvara is the Supreme Lord, the creator of the universe. From whom the creation comes, sustenance happens, in whom creation goes. And to manage and govern this creation, there are different posts which are created. Just like government is one, but there are so many administrative positions to rule the country for various things. Positions are there. So to govern the whole creation, there are these positions which are there, and meritorious jivas are appointed to those positions who can take care of certain aspects of creation. So Indra is a position. Different jivas come to that position of Indra. They govern the creation. When their karma is over, somebody else becomes Indra. So those are devatas, and they are called presiding deities or phenomenal forces of nature. So if I want something, suppose I want electricity, what will I have to do? I have to tap the power which is hidden in water. So symbolically it is said that you pray to Varun Devata, phenomenal force. So Devatas in the Vedic time, the Devatas were invoked to gain special blessings for special things. So there is one Devata, there is Agni Devata, there is Vayu Devata, and there is Varun Devata, and different Devatas are there. So to get blessings of these Devatas for specific things, different people used to worship different Devatas and rituals are done. But from where do all these Devatas get their power? From Ishvara, from the Supreme Lord. So the one who worships the Supreme Lord doesn't have to worship any of the Devatas. And the idea is that as long as I want a desire fulfillment, I may seek that particular Devata. But that Devata himself is insecure. That's why in the stories you will find Indra constantly becoming insecure. Some rishi down there is doing some tapasya and his throne will shake. He is constantly insecure. The depiction is only so that we understand that they may have certain powers, but they are limited in their capacities. They also get their power from the Lord only. And they are also ordinary jivas, maybe little more greater than us, more punya they have done, they are there, that's all. So when it is said, or devata chittana dharai, the idea, the concept is to get desire fulfillment, different deities may be worshipped. You see that in the world also, no, today. For different things, we have to propitiate different departments. Even if you have to make one house, how many departments you have to propitiate? Electricity department separate, and then the water department separate, and then the municipality, and then the occupation certificate they have to give, and how many departments go on propitiating all of them. But if you go to their boss, you propitiate that one person, the rest everything is taken care. You don't have to bother after that. Same way in the creation also. One who worships the Supreme Lord doesn't have to worry about any of the devatas. So let there be single pointedness in the devotion. It is not that by worshipping one deity I can get one blessing. By worshipping the Supreme Lord I can get everything. Why indulge in worshipping these phenomenal forces and limiting myself? When I have the certain devotion in my heart, invest it in the right place, in the Supreme Lord. So he says, Aura Devata Chittana Dharai Hanumat Sei Sarva Sukha Kare. Let the single pointed devotion be there to Hanumanji, and everything comes. Here Hanumanji is depicted as Ishvara. We have seen different forms as Guru, as a friend, different ways Hanumanji has been depicted earlier. Here he is depicted as Ishvara, that you worship one Supreme Ishvara, have one relationship with him, nothing else is required. That single pointedness doesn't come very easily because our mind still thinks, will it happen? I've been worshipping Shani Devata for so long. Suppose I leave. So the next chaupai says Sankat Kate Mite Sab Pira. It is said that Ravan had conquered all the three worlds. So he had won over the planets also, he had won over the Devatas also. And he made Brahmaji, Brahmaji used to serve him as a servant. Then Vayu Devata used to clean his palace. Varun Devata was a water carrier for him. He used to bring water for him. And all the 9 planets, he had were under his throne, meaning under his control. So the story goes that Hanumanji, when he went to Lanka and his tail was set on fire, first thing that Hanumanji did was he jumped at Ravan and he shook his throne. And Ravan got frightened, he got up and he ran. And when he shook his throne, Shani Devata and Mangal, they escaped. And they blessed him that you freed us from all the other grahas also went. Meaning, symbolically it is said there as a story. So they all were released. So Shani Devata and Mangal, they blessed Hanumanji that you freed us. So whoever worships you will be saved from our rakho. Meaning, Shani dosha, if it comes in our life, for 7.5 years that Shani dosha will remain. And that Shani dosha is such that whatever you touch, opposite of that Midas, exactly, it will just crumble, it will perish. Meaning you will go through a lot of trouble in life. That is Shani dosha. And Mangal, they say, is for, Mangal Graha is not good for relationships and specifically for marriage. So people are told, that's why they go and offer that tail to Hanumanji for Shani dosha.
When do we have this show that Shani is under Hanuman's foot?
And that's only for the symbolic story. That is this only. They just show nobody is under Hanumanji's foot. He is not a person who controls anybody. But they just show that Shani also has no power in front of Hanumanji. That's all it is. So that's the story part of it. See, remember, planets are matter. Our body is matter. And matter will have an influence on matter. There is no doubt in that. But that is gross matter. Mind is much more subtler than all of this. So if the person's mind is strong, planetary influence is going to be there. It indicates our karma, it indicates what has been our past, and going by the signs of astrology, the indications are, astrology is a very beautiful and very powerful science. But again, it's an indicative science, it is not a defining science. For majority, it comes true. Really, astrologically, if you go by certain prediction, it is true. What is written, it will happen according to that. But for a few people, it is not true. Why? Because they put their purushartha, they make their mind strong, they hold on to an ideal, they surrender, they put the purushartha, master their temptations and weaknesses of the mind. Such people, they cannot be influenced by them. Their life is not controlled by matter and by planets. Otherwise, for the majority, planetary influence is true. It's an indication, but remember, it is not to create fear. It is to prepare ourselves, okay, this is a possibility, so how do I prepare myself? It's only that much. A lot of people get very scared. They unnecessarily get victimized. A lot of things happen. If I have devotion in my heart, if I have a strong mind, planetary influence is there, but I am well equipped to handle it. That's all it is. So here it says, Sankat Kate Mite Sab Pira. Even the dosh of Shani or Rahu or Ketu or Mangal or whatever that is. any type of physical, mental, intellectual, any type of a problem it may be. Sankat kate mite sab pira. All kinds of pain get removed. How? Jo sumire Hanumat bal bira. That's beautiful. Whoever remembers Hanumanji and invokes the strength. See, we don't go to Bhagavan just like that as a weakness. God, please protect me from Shani Devta. That is not the attitude. Attitude is when I remember Hanumanji all the time, that offering of tail to Hanumanji is a symbol of my remembrance of Hanumanji to invoke strength in me, Balabira. Not that, okay, I have offered tail to Hanumanji, now Hanumanji will just do everything. And so many times people go and offer that tail and all that and they feel so, they do it with such hopelessness. पता नहीं इससे क्या होने वाला है, चलो डाल देते हैं, क्या मेरी माँ बोल रही है इससे क्या होने वाला, but I'm making her happy, चलो डाल दिया. What will happen? If my mind is already blocked, I can't even receive any benefit. I'm just wasting tail, that's all. And you see this, it applies in every science, you will find this. People who do the Reiki and all that, no? If the opposite person's mind is blocked, how much ever you do Reiki, nothing will happen to them. Why? He has closed himself. So if I am doing any of these practices and I have the Shraddha, I am invoking that strength within me, then it definitely works. And I must do it with that openness of the mind. To make the mind strong. It is not to make me helpless. It may be that there are people who exploit others in the name of astrology, but by itself astrology is a science, number one. Number two, it is an indicative science. Number three, it is not meant to make me weak, it is meant to make me strong. Suppose I have a vitamin deficiency, what will I do? Take the tablet. What is the tablet made for? To fulfill my deficiency and to make me healthy. Will I do it with skepticism? ये पता नहीं क्या होने वाला है tablets. I take it saying yes, I have a vitamin deficiency and I eat this, everything should be fine. In the same way, the mind is weak. Certain practices are prescribed for the mind. Every time when I go and do those practices, with that Shraddha when I am doing, the mind becomes strong automatically. And that person will be able to face the problems. So one is not doing it out of weakness there. One is doing it to invoke that strength. Jo sumire Hanumat Balabira. Sindoor is offered to Hanumanji. You know why Sindoor is offered to Hanumanji? Because it is said that this Sita Mata was very sad one day. Nobody is able to make her happy. Hanumanji also tried so many things, but nothing happened. So then what he did, he took some sindoor, some red color powder, vermilion color powder, he took and he put on his face and made himself very funny, and he went in front of Sitaji and he started doing some funny postures and dance and all that with that sindoor on his face. And when Sitaji saw Hanumanji that way, she instantly started laughing. And when Sitaji was smiling and laughing, Bhagwan Ram was very happy. So from that day Hanumanji said, if this makes the Lord happy, he put himself on the whole body, he used to apply sindoor and then go in front of the Lord and go in front of Sitaji. So for Bhagwan he did that, to make the Lord happy. If that makes the Lord happy, I will do it. And so to make Hanumanji happy, people offer sindoor to him. So whether you offer sindoor, whether you offer that oil, the idea is let there be bhavana of devotion that Bhagwan is with me, nothing will happen. This we saw when we said Tum Rachaka Kahu ko dar. So Sankat kate mite sab pira jo sumire Hanumat balabira. जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई. 3 times Jai is said. Victory to Hanuman, victory to Hanuman, victory to Hanuman. Different meanings are there. There are 3 types of karma. Sanchit karma is our total bank of karma. Certain karmas, out of that to exhaust, we have come here, taken a form that is called prarabdha karma. And while doing karma right now, we are creating further new karmas, that is called agami karma. And these 3 is what we are bound by, karma chakra this is. So when it is said Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai, it means that may I have devotion for you, may the victory of Hanumanji be there in my life, not of my ego, so that 3 karmas I can get freed from. The bondage of karma I become free from. Let my body, mind, intellect get integrated. Let my devotion for the Lord help me to get out of this cycle of karma. So, O Hanumanji, help me to cross over the ocean of samsara, the cycle of 3 karmas. Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai. Kripa karahu Gurudev ki nahi. And please shower your grace and compassion on me like the Guru, Gurudeva ki nahi. God and Guru are the only 2 who accept us as we are and who love us for who we are. No trace of any hatred, no trace of any ill will or any negativity is there for us. Even if there are flaws in us, limitations in us, weaknesses in us. So he says, please bless me like a guru, meaning let your unconditional compassion and love be with me at all times. We all seek acceptance from people as we are. We want people to accept us, love us as we are. But the only one who can actually accept us and love us as we are is the Lord and the Guru, Sadguru here. So he says, just like that Guru, whose love and compassion helps a student to lift oneself up step by step without condemning oneself, without feeling bad, without getting insulted. How a guru lifts a student step by step. In that way, let your grace and compassion be with me so that I can lift myself from the attachments that I have fallen into and get out of the cycle of birth and death. The word used for Hanumanji here is Gosai. Go means the senses, Sai means a Swami or a master. Meaning you are the master of your body, mind and intellect, O Hanumanji. You are a self-controlled person. And please help me with your compassion and kindness that may I also lift myself to that state of self-mastery. Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai. Kripa karahu Gurudeva ki nahi. Now there is one definition of Kripa that Gurudev used to give us. He said this in his talks on Vivek Chudamani. So he says there that what is Kripa? Kripa is an attitude of sympathy, cooked in kindness, honeyed with love, and served on the golden platters of understanding. Such a beautiful language of what he has expressed. An attitude of sympathy. What is Kripa? Exact translation though you cannot have in English, but he explained. An attitude of sympathy, that when I look at somebody, I know that what a struggle that person is going through. I have sympathy towards that person. Even if that person falls in the journey, I don't condemn, criticize, insult. I have sympathy. Cooked in kindness. And especially when somebody falls in the journey, there has to be a lot of kindness. So an attitude of sympathy cooked in kindness, honeyed with love. More and more love. Freedom and love are the 2 conditions for growth. not anything else. More love we give, more freedom we give, person will evolve on the spiritual path especially. So honeyed with love, served on the golden platters of understanding, and the understanding of that person makes us accept that person as it is. That why is this person doing such and such thing? So the Guru is one who has all the four. Has sympathy, kindness, love, understanding. That is the kripa of the Guru. And only a Guru who has these four will be able to have unconditional compassion and love for the student. And the student will move faster in one's life. So please have such a kripa on me that like how a Guru has. Jai 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 Hanuman Gosai Kripa Karau Guru Deva Ki Nai. Now comes what we call as the Falashruti or the result or the benefit of chanting Hanuman Chalisa. Jo sat बार पाठ कर कोई छूट ही बंदी महासुख होई. He says Jo sat बार. A lot of people keep on asking, Swamiji, Sat means what? Does it mean 100? Or does it mean 7? It means both. That Avdi Bhasha is like that. Sata can mean 7 and Sata can also mean Shata, means 100. So he says, Jo sat bar path kar koi, whoever that person may be. A lot of people think that women should not chant Hanuman Chalisa. I don't know why they think like that. Hanumanji himself had such a beautiful attitude towards his mother, and he himself worshipped Sita ji. And so many people think that you should not worship Hanumanji as a woman because Hanumanji is a Bala Brahmachari. Why? His Brahmacharya is not going to be destroyed if you are going to worship him as the Lord. It's all wrong notion. Tulsidas clearly says, Jo, whoever it is, any person can worship Hanuman. And how to worship him? So he says here, if you chant Hanuman Chalisa once every day, nothing like it. Superb. So at least chant once every day. What about 7 times? Every week on a Tuesday or on a Saturday, chant 7 times. And once in a year, if you can, on the Hanuman Jayanti day, chant 108 times. If you can't do on Hanuman Jayanti day, choose some other day. 108 times if you can chant. Chant. Jo satabar paat kar koi, chhoot hi bandi mahasukha hoi. Will get freed from all bondage and attain the state of fulfillment. Mahasukha hoi. If none of this is possible, at least chant once in a lifetime. 108 times if possible. Once. Jo satbar paat kar koi, chhota hi bandi mahasukha hoi. And you see, one is to chant individually, another is to chant as a group, samohik chanting. The samohik chanting has a lot of power. Today it has become very common. A lot of people go for Buddhist chanting. Get together in groups and do Buddhist chanting. Because group chanting has power. In our culture it is said, in group when it is chanted, the punya that arises out of the group chanting. So suppose 10 people are chanting. And each one's punya is 10 units. So how much is the total punya? 100 units. So it is said each person gets 100 units of punya. It is not divided. Every person gets the total benefit of the whole chanting. Hence the group chanting has a lot of vibration. Many psychological impacts also it has. That our chanting we may feel little dull, We may feel sleepy, we may feel tired, we may feel unenthusiastic, but when the group is there, that enthusiasm is maintained. And every year we do that group chanting on Hanuman Chalisa Day. Once we did Hanuman Havan, 108 Havan Kunds and 108 times chanting. What a power that was. To see 15,000 people chanting in the stadium, Hanuman Chalisa, and along with that doing the Ahuti, it was grand. Lot of power it has. You are invoking the totality, Samashti. That is Ishvara Kripa, Ishvara's grace. So he says, Jo Satbar Paat Kar Koi. Even together as a family on one day of the week, together you can chant Hanuman Chalisa. Even if not 7 times, 1 time. So, Jo Satbar Paat Kar Koi, Chutai Bandi Mahasukha Hoi. Now, who says this? Joya Pade Hanuman Chalisa, Hoye Siddhi, Sakhi Gauri Sa. Shivji himself blessed Tulsidas ji when he finished his composition, saying that whoever will chant this, Joya Pade Hanuman Chalisa, Pade, not even, see, you just chant it. You may know the meaning, may not know the meaning. Still, just the chanting of Hanuman Chalisa itself can get a lot of benefits. You know, unbelievable stories are there. To say also, sometimes people feel it is very, what is that? Real miracle and superstition and all that. But these are stories which have happened. There was one family somewhere in Nigeria, and the husband was implicated in a false case and put into a jail. And they tried a lot of power and they tried a lot of influence and everything, but he was not able to be freed. And then they came to one of our Swamiji, Swami Swarupananda. He has a lot of Shraddha in Hanumanji, and he said, don't worry, you take Hanumanji's grace, and by grace of the Lord, if he is really, he has not done anything wrong, he will get freed. For by his grace it will happen. And they did. And he was freed also. And they were not able to believe. Many such stories, even physically, so many people have recovered, financially they have recovered, a lot of things have happened. It is a Shraddha. So, Joya Pade Hanuman Chalisa, Hoya Siddhi, Sakhi Gauri Sa. Then he says, Tulsidas Sada Hari Chera, Kije Nath Hriday Mahadera. So, Tulsidas ji prays for himself. He says that Tulsidas Sada Hari Chera. Hari here means not Vishnu Bhagavan. Hari here means Hanumanji. That I am always a servant of this Hanumanji. And oh Hanumanji, Kije Nath Hriday Mahadera. Please stay in my heart. Tulsidas Sada Hari Chera. Literally, Hara means to loot. So here Hanumanji is called as Hari because he loots away. He takes away all our klesha and vikar, etc., which we see in the beginning. Harahu kalesa vikar. So he says, oh Hanumanji, I am a servant of yours. I am a devotee of yours. Please stay in my heart. And when Hanumanji stays in somebody's heart, he says, don't only stay in my heart, Kije Nath Hriday Maha Dera. Dera means you just come and put a camp which is a permanent camp, not a refugee camp. Sometimes it happens, Some, let us say, mother-in-law comes to our house and she has put a dera. Doesn't think of going on. The son-in-law always said, "Kab jayegi?" She has put a dera happily. She has captured everything. Kitchen also, TV also, remote is always in her hand. What to do? What? Captured, gone, dera. So he says, you come and make a permanent camp in my heart. And Tulsidas is very intelligent. He says, if you come, I know that you will not come alone. When you come, with you, Ram, Lakshman, Sita also will come. So he ends it with this chaupai, Doha. He says, Pavana Tanaya Sankata Harana. Oh son of wind god, you are the one who purifies the mind of everyone. Please purify my mind. Sankata Harana, please take away all the problems. What is my root cause of my problem? My selfishness. Please take away that. Mangala Murati Roop. Now looking at a monkey, will anybody say what an auspicious form? Nobody will say, but Hanumanji is most auspicious. Why? Because his whole life is such. Mangala Murati Roop. Who lived only for the sake of the Lord. Who lives even today only for the sake of the Lord. Mangala Murati Roop. Ram Lakhan Sita Sahita. With Ram, Lakshman and Sita, Hridaya Basau Surabhu. O best amongst the Devtas, please come and stay with Ram, Lakshman and Sita in my heart. So Ram, Lakshman and Sita represent so many things. Ram represents Anand, Sita represents Shanti, Lakshman represents Vairagya. So with Anand, Shanti and Vairagya, please stay in my heart. Hanumanji represents Seva. Lakshman is Vairagya. 14 years Lakshmanji did not sleep and constantly he served the Lord. And he did not even have a need to actually go to the forest. Ram was banished to the forest. Lakshman was not banished. But he came to serve. So, and tirelessly he served. So Ram, Lakshman and Sita. Ram, Anand, Sita, Shanti, Lakshman, Vairagya. Another meaning of Ram, Lakshman and Sita is Ramji represents the Lord of the universe. Sitaji is the Shakti, the Maya Shakti, through which the Lord creates the universe. And again Lakshmanji represents the Adi Shesha, the power of desires which are turned towards the Lord. 1,000-hooded serpent is Sheshnag. Generally our mind filled with desire is extrovert, away from the Lord. But if you see the Bhagavan Vishnu's picture, on Sheshnag he is reclining and he is resting. And the Sheshnag, the 1,000 hoods are facing the Lord. Meaning that mind which has turned fully introverted to the Lord will find Narayan in one's own heart. So Ram, Lakhan and Sita, may all of them stay in my heart. Hridaya Basau Surabhu. Hanumanji's glory is infinite. In Siddhabari, our ashram, near Himachal Pradesh, near Dharamshala, that land was barren land. Nothing will grow on that land. Such powerful, mighty wind currents were there that no vegetation is happening. No structure. People try to build some physical structures, homes and all that. Nothing remained there. Winds used to be so strong that everything used to get uprooted. And that land Gurudev chose for the ashram. And people told him, Swamiji, you can't build anything here. So many times people have tried and it all gets blown away. He said, don't worry, I will invoke Pavan Putra here. And seeing his son, Pavan Devata has to become Shant. And so Gurudev conceptualized Hanumanji's Murti. 32 feet is that Murti. But his sankalp was so strong and he said, I invoke Hanumanji here. And that Karigar who made that Murti also, he used to meditate on Hanumanji. And then he started making that Murti. And that Hanumanji's Murti, when it came, really speaking, the wind, actually speaking, then it needed a tower like a thing, around which the wind will find an anchor. So the storms etc. subsided. Lot of vegetation. Now more than 400 to 500 species of plants and trees and so many things are there. Most beautiful place is Siddhabari. And Hanumanji statue, when it was built, then Gurudev said that if Hanuman is here, he does not stay without his Lord. Within 1 year's time, his Lord will be here. And so if Hanumanji's statue is facing like this, there Ramji's temple is there a little further down in the ashram. And in 1 year's time, that whole temple was built. And amazing stories if you hear about that temple. These are all real life stories which have actually happened, and people who have been there have seen it. While the construction used to be happening for the temple, when they require rains, when they require water, when they require all that, the rains would happen. When they don't require wind and storm and all that, it would all stop. So many times it has happened there in Siddhabari ashram. And in 1 year's time, Bhagwan Ram's temple got built exactly in 1 year's time, and it was inaugurated by Gurudev. So when he says here that Ram Lakhan Sita Sahita Hridaya Basau Surabhu, it is a fact that Hanumanji comes, wherever he comes, he brings Ram, Lakshmana and Sita with him. Physically also it has happened in Siddhabari. And that Siddhabari ashram Ram temple is very unique. I don't think anywhere else in the country we have such a Ram temple, or even in the world. I'm not very sure about the world, but yeah. Because Bhagwan Ram there is in the Vanvasi roop. He is not there in the... Generally you will find Bhagwan Ram in the royal form as a king. But there he is as a Vanvasi. Ram and Sita both are there, made of black stone. So in 1 year's time, both of them came there. And Ram temple was inaugurated. And I am talking of those times when construction was not so easy, and it's on a mountain. It's quite high. And in that 1 year's time, they built that whole temple so beautifully. So that way, with that Shraddha, that wherever Hanumanji is, Ram, Lakshman and Sita will be there. By the grace of Hanumanji, we have completed this Hanuman Chalisa. The whole course we started as Secret of Success and Fulfillment. So we invoke the grace of Hanumanji and Shri Ram, Lakshman and Sita. May we achieve more and more success and ultimately fulfillment in our life. So we will chant Hanuman Chalisa, and with that we will conclude.